It's going to be a hard adjustment for a lot of people.
What leads you to believe this other than sheer belief in Donald Trump? What is an indicator that makes you think things are going to be better? Just blind faith. Okay, let's do a little bit of HogWatch because I want to see some of these. I want to see some of these hogs defend the tariffs. Okay.
People understood the tariffs that President Trump is implementing. I wish more people knew what kind of freedom that's going to give the American people.
Woo!
President Trump is trying to use these tariffs to get rid of taxes. And I'm telling you guys, he is very smart. That's how the country was ran before taxes. I truly have a hard time understanding how anybody could be against that. I understand maybe not liking him.
I like that this is somehow good for her. Like in her mind, she thinks this is good for her. Oh my God, we are so stupid. Oh my God. That is the scariest part of this equation. The scariest part of the complete collapse of the global economy. Outside of all of that is the idea that Donald Trump is going to somehow make up a shortfall for gutting income taxes in its fucking entirety, okay, which is like the last remaining progressive form of taxation that doesn't overwhelmingly burden individuals in the working poor, in the working class, as opposed to the wealthiest people in society. That's the one type of progressive taxation that remains, and it's already far too little in comparison to what it should be at, okay? And these people are going, hell yeah, no more taxes. It's going to be so much better. It's like, listen to me very carefully, okay? Tariffs will not be able to make up for the lack of income taxes. Part of the reason why it won't be able to is because, let's say, 30% of your salary is back in your pocket, okay? None of the programs that it funds at the state level will exist anymore. How do you build the roads? How do you pay for the school? How do you pay for anything? What are you saying? What do? We just Ancapistan? Like, what the fuck are you guys saying? Even if you're like an MMT guy on the federal level, like, what are we doing in state level? Where so much of those taxes go back directly to shit that you are consuming, using, all the public resources that you take advantage of that you think are magically there, but they're not magically there. You're funding it. So I guess we're just nuking America. Like, I don't know. We're doing nukes. We're BDSing ourselves. We're doing boycott, divestment, and sanctions from the United States of America to ourselves. If you are a working class individual, okay, and it looks like you got an old ass, like, I don't know, Chevy Silverado or whatever the fuck you're driving, it's not like you're caked up, Deborah. You should not be excited at the prospect of no more taxes, no more income tax. Oh. Could this hurt Israel in any way? I hope not. I sure hope not, chatter. Don't worry.
But who could be against getting rid of taxes? Who is against having more money in your pocket? The only people that could be against that are the people who has truly never paid taxes. Before you complain...
Brilliant. Yeah. Yeah. Only people... Well, let me tell you, okay? Listen, Deborah. I pay more taxes living in the communist nation state of California than you have in your entire life. I pay more taxes in 1 year than you do in your entire life. You've paid in your entire life. Let me tell you something, okay? Let me tell you something. As someone who does that, it is my patriotic duty to do so, even though most of it still goes to Israel. Not most of it, but you know what I mean. Even though a lot of it goes to the police force, which is the domestic military force, and a lot of it goes to military R&D, I understand that even if in the margins there's like some of the funds that finally go to the schools, then it's worth it. And I wish we could restructure the way that we do our expenditures, both at the state level, both at the local level, and certainly at the federal level. But beyond that, even if a little bit of that is going back, like, it's good. That's a good thing. Okay? It's a good thing. Oh, God damn, dude. People are crazy.
and talk about how terrible it is, give him the opportunity to show you. I hope all you guys are having a wonderful day. It's a beautiful day here in the state of Kentucky. God.
You're in Kentucky. You're in a 1997 Ford Explorer. You're never going to be able to get a new car, by the way. It's just not happening for you. And you're like, hell yeah, I love that we're not getting our taxes. Donald Trump's going to take my taxes away. Oh, my God. Oh, no. We are so freaking cooked, dude. We are cooked. We're cooked. Are we destined to cycle the same shit? Did this kind of disinformation occur prior to the Great Depression? Never at this like rapid clip, because there was just no way to misinform one another this fast and this successfully. All right.
With fallout from President Trump's trade war, his tariffs sent shockwaves through the market. Stocks had their biggest one-day loss in 5 years. It's been since the pandemic. More than $3 trillion of value was wiped out. The worst one-day losses for the S&P and 500 and the Nasdaq since 2020. Because concerns are growing about the impact on businesses and consumers. Trevor Alt is on Wall Street with the latest. Good morning, Trevor.
Good morning, George. And this harsh drop in the markets is only fueling fears of a potential recession. JP Morgan analysts have now updated their chance of a recession this year to 60%, meaning they think it's more likely than not. And we have seen stocks get heavily slashed since these tariffs were made official, and it seems like the bleeding may not stop anytime soon.
Please, Mr. President, the bleeding is too much. I will say you will keep bleeding. You'll say so much winning. You'll say, Mr. President, please, no more winning. I'll say, no, we're going to keep winning.
This morning, the widespread fallout from President Trump's sweeping tariffs. The stock market losing $2.5 trillion in value Thursday.
Bro, by the way, look, I'm not one of these like anarchist style lefties.
Tariffs.
Okay.
The stock market.
But money is so fake. I'm sorry. I'm done with this whole bullshit. Okay. It's so made up. Dude. It is money is the most made up thing. Money throughout the history of mankind, money has never been as made up as it is right now. Okay. $2.5 trillion in value wiped out overnight, and your day is the same. If money was real, if this was real, people would be killing themselves. People would be literally grabbing the pitchforks to murder one another with pitchforks. And because they don't have anything else. No more commodities are being produced. It's a dead halt. Okay? It's just like, you can never convince me. You can never convince me that money is real. You will never be able to convince me that money is real. I mean, this is the other reason why I said that. Yeah, one of these men did not attend the inauguration, okay? Elon Musk lost $11 billion. Jeff Bezos lost $15.9 billion. Mark Zuckerberg, $17.9 billion. Warren Buffett, only $2.57 billion, okay? And it's like, I'm sorry, dude. That's just nothing. That's not real. We need to stop this. We need to stop entertaining this stuff, okay? We need to go back to the barter system. We need to go back to the gold standard. I don't know. just something different, okay? No, everyone's getting poorer. Everyone's getting poorer. Why do Democrats fall back on the same tired message as the situation changes and the rich get richer? Oh, not the working rich. To the many investors coming into the United States and investing massive amounts of money, my policies will never change. This is a great time to get rich, richer than ever before. Yeah. And Chuck Schumer said, and the rich get richer. And Josh Barrow said, no. It's a fire sale for billionaires. What are these people smoking? Not yet. But yes. Call me Donald with the way she plunging on my stock. Nice. That's a good one. Peach jars. Yeah, I suspect that Chuck Schumer is talking about, yes, the tax cuts that are incoming, or even the fact that like this presents an opportunity for wealthy people who will now consolidate even further, engage in even further consolidation of wealth. So this is the best edit yet. I watched this. Yeah, I watched this earlier.
You may even get tired of winning, and you'll say, please, winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And we're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, it's too much winning.
But it's also like, yo, low key, a lot of you guys in this chat, okay, are middle class, you're working a job, you're not at the age where you're even like thinking about your retirement, but you're looking at your 401k and it's like bleeding, right? This also kind of goes back to the idea that I'm talking about here about money being fake, where it's like your life was already shit and now your future is shit, right? Like in the future, you suspect it'll be more shit. That's the only thing that changed. Like your life as of this moment has not gotten significantly worse. It probably will as a consequence of people's purchasing power diminishing and then companies engaging in layoffs, and which will then obviously make the situation even less manageable. All of these things are slated to happen in the future, but it's like there's not even a bank run taking place. You know what I mean? Like it's just all designed in a way where this shit is freaking fake, dude. I woke up and jacked off exactly the same as last week. Is consolidation of wealth really what's happening? I feel like there's easier ways for the president of America to do that. Yeah, I don't think that this is intentional to like make a wealth consolidation happen. I don't think he's like intentionally applying this market shock so his like buddies can come in and sweep everything else. That's just a normal part of the process, I think. As a normal part of the process, it's just what happens. But yeah, my index funds are in the bin. I'm 23 and no 401k. Is that okay? Can't do a bank run when there's no money to take out. Yeah, banks are out of money. The comments here had me really sad the other day. What is this?
One video.
Something is very wrong with America. Elderly servers in her 70s and she can hardly walk. The table next to this woman asked why she was still working, and she said she only makes $910 a month on Social Security, and she has to still work because her bills exceed $910 a month. Yeah, let's help her retire. $250,000 raised so far. Yeah, this is it, dude. This is the future. The future is like one lucky member of the peasant class, one lucky member of the peasantry will get the rest of the peasantry to raise funds so they can actually retire in a normal, with like normal finances, as opposed to a government-funded initiative that will allow everyone to have that same opportunity. It's fantastic. We can feel good about it too. Yeah, the GoFundMe-fication of social safety nets is crazy. Did they get rid of the FDIC yet, or is my money still safe in the bank? Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, things are not great, to say the least. I mean, this is the Hamas logo, okay? The New York Stock Exchange is Hamas. Donald Trump is Hamas, okay? Ironically, he did a BDS on Israel. He is doing Hamas shit. He is doing Hamas to the American stock market, the America stock market.
Losing $2.5 trillion in value Thursday.
Yeah, 6% is the latest number that we're at. As of 6 minutes ago, SPX index down almost 6%. Holy baloney. God damn. You're seemingly in a good mood today. The vibes are immaculate, brother. Yeah, I'm just doing me. I'm focusing on me shit. You know what I mean? It's just, that's part of it. You know, I'm working out. The weather is nice. I have to maintain a positive, cheerful attitude.
The worst single-day plunge since the pandemic lockdowns 5 years ago. Multinational corporations with manufacturing in Asia, like Apple, tumbling more than 9%. Dell, Best Buy, and Nike dropping around 15% or more. And now, as more tariffs are set to go into effect at midnight, many companies are already reeling.
I think there's something very funny about Donald Trump getting his experts to compile this like 200-page foreign trade barriers, estimation report, and then not using those foreign trade barriers that were calculated in the actual calculation, because the actual calculation is much simpler, which also is a story from Washington Post, scoop from Jeff Stein. President Trump personally selected the now widely mocked formula for determining the country's specific tariffs from a menu of options, multiple sources say. Numerous Trump aides at NEC, CEA, Commerce, USTR had for weeks been working, crafting country-specific tariffs that took into account a broad range of tariff and non-tariff barriers. Several sources said more sophisticated approaches had been developed. It's actually not that hard to develop a more sophisticated approach. Doing nothing would probably be a more sophisticated approach to, as opposed to what Trump did. So, like, literally, if they were just like, hey, Mr. President, how about we don't do anything? If that was the approach that he took, that would be more sophisticated. They didn't do that. They took the least sophisticated route, which is all of those trade barriers that are in that booklet are irrelevant to the calculation here. The calculation here is entirely done by looking at the deficit, okay? Looking at the trade deficit and deciding on the arbitrary designation of how much tariffs these countries have applied to us. Oh, I'm sorry, do you not want to purchase our F-150s because they don't fit in your roads? Guess what, dude? Sucks to suck. You're not buying enough from us, okay? Madagascar, why are you not getting our gas cars? That's a trade deficit. That's a tariff. We've decided a trade deficit is a tariff. And that's precisely how we're going to operate going forward, okay? Yeah, Madagascar, how about gas cars? Okay, specifically Ford, okay, or Chevy, one of them. I can't confirm precisely who authored the one Trump picked. We have suspicions. It might be ChatGPT, but it bears striking similarities to the methods previously backed publicly by Peter Navarro, as I've talked about before. Peter Navarro is the ultimate China hawk. He's Mr. Steal Your Tariffs. He's Mr. Disrupt the Global Economy. He's Mr. We need to decouple from China. And he's Trump's top guy. He's Trump's bravest soldier, most loyal soldier on this, at the forefront of this kind of activity. So Trump is doing it. He's doing the dang thing. The definitive story of Trump's whirlwind trade direction. And here's what they said. Oh, sorry, this was a scoop, not from Jeff Stein. It's from Natalie Allison, Michael Birnbaum, Kat Zacharowski, and led by Amy E. Gardner, all at the Washington Post. He's at the peak of just not giving a bleep anymore, said a White House official with knowledge of Trump's thinking. Bad news stories, doesn't give a bleep. He is going to do what he's going to do. He's going to do what he promised to do on the campaign trail. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. Oh, brother. That's not good. Not good at all, because he promised a lot of awful shit, okay? Are you surprised to see that Switch 2 pre-orders are delayed because of this? No. Why would I be surprised about that? Of course not. The random Twitter user who figured this out an hour after the announcement, and you doubt it is vindicated? Absolutely. I apologize to that Twitter user. It just, I still was operating on the old boundaries and the old ways of thinking, which is that sounds entirely too simple-minded. And I'm sorry that 2 days ago, if I was looking at the situation and you were to tell me that the Trump administration is so stupid that they would create arbitrary designations that expand far beyond like trade barriers and claiming that like a VAT tax, like a value added tax, is actually a trade barrier or a functional tariff or whatever. Like, if you were to ask me that, I'd be like, yeah, those are the reasons why they're just slapping on these fake numbers. It can't be so stupid that they did this look at the trade deficit calculation and decided that is the tariff, decided that is considered a tariff, because it's not. It's an entirely separate thing, okay? Yeah, I would have said that's too stupid for the Trump administration. And boy, was I wrong. And I'm here to admit when I'm wrong, okay? I am here to admit to you when I'm in the wrong. This is one of those moments. The Trump administration is that stupid. It turns out they're that stupid. Like, for me, I looked at the situation and I thought, there's no way. This is the American empire. Everything I've known. I'm not a nothing ever happens kind of guy, but when it comes to this kind of shit, nothing does indeed ever happen, because the entire purpose of the American empire is to maintain this hegemonic status and maintain global trade, this intricate web that we have designed in order to permanently exploit the global south so that our labor aristocracy can get the treats at low costs. Yeah, no degree. He's just that stupid. Yeah. He does not have a PhD in macroeconomics. He is just that stupid. All right. That's precisely what's going on. Respect, respect, respect. Because things are happening. Okay. Things are happening at an alarming rate. Things are happening so goddamn hard that the nothing ever happens guys are going, oh my God, things are finally happening. Holy we were so wrong. Now, the reason why they're saying that is because, as I've maintained this position, things are happening all the time, all around the world. It just never comes back here. It never comes back here to happen to you in your neighborhood. It doesn't hurt the suburbs of Connecticut. Things don't happen there. Things are happening in Guatemala. Things are happening in Yemen. Things are happening in Gaza. It's just things are not happening in, Idaho. And finally, things are happening in Idaho, it seems. And yeah, interesting stuff. Very cool, very interesting, cool zone shit that's going on in the United States of America. Holy baloney.
Affected midnight, many companies are already reeling. Restoration Hardware stock plummeted 40%. The CEO reacting in real time on an earnings call.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I just looked at the screen.
No, is this good?
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I just looked at the screen. I hadn't looked at it. It got hit when I think the tariff came out.
Economic anxieties are also rippling through the auto industry, now facing...
Dude. The photos coming from the New York Stock Exchange floor yesterday are insane. There is a little bit of catharsis here. I'm sorry. Like, there is a moment of vindication, I think, for people like myself, because we look at like how heavily financialized our global marketplace is, and the ramifications of that are so severe. So when you look at like all the loyal peons that have upheld the system, and you watch them in shock, in true utter horror, that like one singular baboon-brained dipshit can just destroy everything for them in ways that they never could have comprehended, coming from not left field but right field. All of a sudden there's like a moment of catharsis, like where you're like, well, how about you guys feel this a little bit? You know what I mean? How about you feel this pain a little bit? Because for the average American, this is a daily part of the problem. Now, of course, the way that the stock market works, obviously the gains are privatized and the losses are socialized. So like you're way harder than everybody else. Make no mistake. But I think like it's almost like a Luigi Mangione moment. I feel like Donald Trump is the Luigi Mangione of finance a little bit, where he just basically domed the stock market, and Americans were like, well, yeah, my 401k is done, but also like there's a little bit of catharsis, I think. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm reading it incorrectly. Maybe I'm wrong, but at least like amongst normie people that I talk to, it does kind of feel like everything is really messed up, isn't it, huh? Oh, well, because their shit is already, you know what I mean? Their shit is already to a severe degree. And people are genuinely fearful about what is to come next. I don't think a lot of people understand how devastating this will be. Obviously, I've talked about it quite a bit, about like what the impact of this is going to look like for sure. But because like inflation is terrifying people. But in all of that, I think there are some people who are just going like, okay, well, like this was already pretty bad and it's getting worse. What the do I do about it? My portfolio is dying. I put my money into historically safe investments and it's being obliterated. Help. Yeah. Dude, the stock market has a father and a husband. Show some respect. We made it through COVID. We be all right. Like, it is such a wild set of circumstances that has unfolded. It is such a wild situation ahead of us that the New York Times is talking about maybe these international manufacturing hubs will actually lower their prices to make sure that the American public doesn't eat too much of that cost. There will always be a price increase. Tariffs means automatic price increases, but maybe the suffering will be a little bit less. Maybe the suffering will be a little bit less. Now, the other side of the story is that if you want to fix that trade deficit, if you're the United States of America and you're the consumption engine of the global economy, it's going to be quite difficult for you to turn that around. Like, what are you supposed to do? What are the people of Madagascar supposed to do? What are the people in Cambodia supposed to do? Are they supposed to just like purchase whatever the we make here? Like, I don't understand. That's truly a thing that I'm having a hard time coming to terms with, because like it seems like he wants to, one, bring manufacturing back to the United States of America without actually building the infrastructure to do that, which is psychotic. It's not going to happen. Two, he wants to decouple trade from China and even other like secondary manufacturing hubs that China has moved into, because they know that Donald Trump has been aggressively pursuing the tariff policy against China. So Chinese manufacturers, due to living standards improving too much in China, and also because of those tariffs, have moved their manufacturing hub to like Vietnam and stuff. And they are Vietnam over as a consequence of that as well. America's doing that. So what are these countries supposed to do? Like what are they supposed to do? Like what can they do to fix the trade deficit? Because as it stands, we don't have the manufacturing power. We do not have the manufacturing power right now. So even if for Donald Trump, in his perfect vision, for Donald Trump's perfect vision to become reality, America would need to overnight open up endless factories, facilities with incredible amounts of foreign capital and investment coming in, right? And not like Hyundai facilities, because like Hyundai has opened up facilities, but they're not technically made in America. So like he wants to take that out as well. Like he wants all of these other companies to basically go away, to not be able to sell to the United States of America. And then he wants those countries to purchase from us. But we don't have supplies. We don't have the facilities. We don't have the infrastructure as it stands. So even if you've built the infrastructure overnight, which is impossible, it's physically impossible, it's not going to happen, then what? We just start manufacturing all this stuff and they have to buy it at our price point? Like, how that expectation is so stupid. Everything that I'm talking about would require, at least in the most expeditious manner, Chinese style, command economy, central planning style, eminent domain shit, moving the labor force around aggressively without any sort of political repercussions. That, with all of that in mind, that's a 10-year plan, minimum. America does not even have the skeleton to be able to do this shit. America does not have the backbone to be able to do this shit. America has never done this shit unless it was like World War II. That's the last time we were able to do that, okay? So, like, yeah, they tax Lesotho. What are they supposed to do? Lesotho, you need to buy what we make in the United States of America. We're not making shit right now, but when we do, you need to buy it. But we're gonna tax you anyway. Lesotho, all the countries. Do you understand why it's kind of funny and very frustrating to look at what the hell's going on around the world, you know? Lesotho. We don't have the industrial base as it stands. We don't even know if we have the labor power to be able to do this. And we broke it first with the hopes that we can build that, but with no incentive structure to build it anyway. Because the furthest that in these past couple of decades, the furthest along we've ever been in terms of bringing back manufacturing into the United States of America was Build Back Better, IRA, and the CHIPS Act. All Brandonian regime moves. And that was a day late and a dollar too short to begin with, because that was done within the confines of neoliberalism. Trump is not even doing that. Trump is not even doing that at all. He's just breaking it with no intention, seemingly, of fixing it at all in the aftermath. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. And like, we laugh about the stupidity because like, oh my God, they put tariffs on penguins. And it's like, yeah, they did. They did put tariffs on penguins because they're that stupid. It just, and not only are they that stupid, they're not even trying to shelter you from their stupidity. They're like, yeah, we're this stupid. What are you going to do about it? Yeah, I'm the dumbest guy you know. I'm the biggest dumbass you've ever met. And what the are you going to do about it? All the other dumbasses voted for me, and I'm going to do this shit. Sucks to suck. That's the situation in front of us right now. That's where we're at.
25% tariffs on
of course, Ben
imported cars
Sharpino is going to be against the tariffs. He's a classical libertarian.
Parts. Stellantis, the maker of Jeep, Chrysler, and Ram, announcing they're pausing production at some plants in Canada and Mexico, and also temporarily laying off 900 workers in Indiana and Michigan. In Kentucky.
Oh yeah, this is the other side of it. Like when you're pummeling companies like Hyundai and stuff who have built manufacturing plants and things like that in the United States of America to hire members of the U.S. workforce in an effort to get a better deal overall, to be able to enter the American marketplace overall, like, and you cut away directly at their profit margins, like they're gonna pull out. They're not gonna be like, all right, time to open up new factories. They're gonna be like, okay, well, we don't have the money. We are no longer competitive in this marketplace. So then what do you think happens? Well, then they get fired and then those factories close. So there is a likelihood that this leads to more layoffs, not less, even in the interim.
Kentucky dairy farmer Terry Rowlett is bracing for his cost to jump.
A lot of the equipment that we use, they come in from overseas, so that increase the amount we have to pay for our parts and so forth for our dairy.
And a manager of this wine import business in San Francisco states it plainly.
It's the American importer that pays the tariff, and that is an additional cost.
Also, for months, we've been saying, for a year, since Donald Trump started talking about tariffs, I have been saying this over and over again. Tariffs are not a tax that the government, that the foreign entity pays for. Tariffs are a tax that the importer pays for, which then gets carried over to the consumer, meaning the price of your goods by the time you receive it will be higher as a direct consequence of said tariffs. I've been saying this every single day, it seems like, for the past year, since Donald Trump came out and was like, tariffs are my favorite word. It's the best word in the English language. I've been explaining it over and over again. And it feels like conservatives have just not thought about this at all. Where like they don't even either hear it, they never encounter it, or when they hear this argument, they turn around and go, you're gay, libtard, shut the up. You don't know what you're talking about. Tariffs are going to make America great. Like until the moment comes and they actually experience it, people have no way of conceptualizing information that they're receiving. This is a real crisis in education in this country. It's a real crisis of critical thinking in this country. Yeah, I warned you, bro, dude. I told you, bro. A critical analysis of capitalist production by Karl Marx. Edited by Frederick Engels. Yeah, every MAGA guy talking about Trump's tariffs sounds like the George W. Bush defendant from The Onion talking about the Iraq war law. Yeah, counterpoint. No, it won't. No, it won't. It just won't. None of that will happen. You're getting worked up over nothing. Everything's going to be fine. So just relax, okay? You're really overreacting. And it's really funny because I saw what I think it was Jack Posobiec's alt account and wokeness or whatever tweet about the tariffs in the funniest way possible, where even he had to concede that it's bad. Like it's bad, but he can't fully say it's bad. So he had to turn around and be like, well, if it's not bad. Oh, here it is. 55,000 likes, by the way. If these tariffs end up working, nobody will ever trust the experts again. Dog, you never trusted the experts. And it's fine not to trust the experts. I don't trust the experts either. Okay? But like, you don't have to be an expert to recognize that this shit is just completely busted because you're feeling it right now. And the very fact that you're feeling it right now is the reason why you said if these tariffs end up working. As in, you also are aware that it is not working and there is a likelihood that it won't work. It is awesome. Okay? It is hilarious. Now, the experts have been wrong on a lot of basic predictions, okay? Of course they have been. Well, there are some experts that are not wrong, usually. in the overall trend lines, like profit margins, profit rates, and their tendency to decline, for example, and what kind of consequences that might have for the political economy of the global or of the entire global web of countries cooperating with one another, constantly doing war with one another, imperialism being the final state of capitalism, that sort of thing. Those guys were right. Those experts were right. They were so right. I will say that every day of the week. But yeah, our like the very narrow focus of maintaining this capitalist framework, like the experts that work within the confines of capitalist thinking, capitalist thought, capitalist dogma, if you will, yes, they're wrong all the time. But having said that, in terms of the immediate impacts of tariffs, they're not wrong. They're not wrong. And Trump does have the capacity to prove them wrong. But the issue is, in order to try and prove them wrong, you would actually have to do China shit, okay? You would have to work outside of the bounds of capitalist dogma. You would have to do massive public spending initiatives. You would have to change the way that the American economy works. You would have to change the way that the American government works. You would have to be a socialist. That's it. Straightforwardly, you would have to behave like a socialist to be able to manage this situation. And even then, as a leftist myself, I'm saying Trump's implementation of these tariffs, the way that he haphazardly slapped on these arbitrary numbers to countries, and the way that he is destabilizing the system is still incorrect. It is still not the appropriate way to do it. You have to build the infrastructure first before you break some of these things. You have to make it sector specific, piece by piece. You build, battery plants or something, and then you go after batteries and you tariff that kind of stuff. Okay, you develop you develop extraction contracts, even though China currently has a monopoly on this stuff. You develop extraction contracts with these countries where you can get the resources, the natural resources necessary to be able to build the battery refinement process, and then the battery factories and facilities. It would take years of this would take years and years of building ahead of time before you even did a sector specific tariff in order to boost American manufacturing. None of that is happening. None of that at all.
That either has to be eaten or passed on to the consumers.
Though some feel the change will be worth it eventually.
It's going to be a hard adjustment for a lot of people.
What? What leads you to believe this? What? Other than just other than sheer belief in Donald Trump, okay? Why? Aside from just simply having this cultish attitude towards dear leader who will fix it all because you think he's brilliant and brave and, more laughably, cares about you, what is leading you? What is an indicator that makes you think things are going to be better? Just blind faith placed upon a billionaire asshole born with a silver spoon who has demonstrably never cared about anyone but himself. What are we doing? God damn, I'm jealous, though. On the other side, I'm jealous because, one, like I've said, tariffs in and of itself, not necessarily something I'm against. Trade protectionism, not something I'm against. Free trade and the way that it is designed is bad for the global south, and it's bad for the United States of America and the American manufacturing capabilities, as we've seen over the course of the past couple of decades. So I look to all of this, and I look to what Trump is doing with envy, with resentment first and anger, but then also with envy, because he gets to do this shit, and he gets to do it in the wrong direction, not even in the right direction, and it pisses me off. It makes me so mad that one singular telegenic guy who was able to take over the infrastructure of the Republican Party and basically rebuild it in his own vision with a little bit of populist sentiment baked into it, with no real motivation to enact any sort of popular policies that will help his base, can get away with basically destroying his base first and foremost. When these guys, like when Trump cuts funding to like telehealth facilities, right? Who do you think that hurts the most? It hurts poor people, yes, but it hurts people in rural areas the most. When they talk about changing the funding mechanism for the USPS, for the U.S. Postal Service, who do you think gets over in that process. They privatize the U.S. Postal Service. Who do you think doesn't get their medicine? Rural people, his base. He is directly killing his base first and foremost. Same shit happened in COVID. Who died during COVID at an alarming rate? People in red states that didn't believe that it was real because they said, our dear leader said it's not real. I don't care. It's not real to me, damn it. I'm never wearing a mask. No face stopper for me. You. Oh, now I'm dead. I'm never taking the vaccine. Now I'm dead. It is alarming.
But I believe in Trump.
And we are starting to see other nations respond to these tariffs. This morning, China has now announced in retaliation they'll be imposing an additional.
Trump supporters just don't care. My stepdad got laid off as a welder in Trump's first term because of the tariffs, and his dumbass voted for him again and still has stickers and signs everywhere. Rural Ohio moment and a type 1 diabetic son. Jesus Christ, dude. These guys want to cut Medicaid. Who do you think relies on Medicaid? Rural hospitals that are already in a state of disrepair. That's who relies on Medicaid. He actively is killing. He is like Pol Pot, but instead of people wearing glasses, he's just killing his fans. Even these tariffs, the first industry that goes down with the tariffs is the Trump MAGA merch stores. Okay? His diehard loyalists. It's insane. And they don't recognize it. And the worst part is we don't do outreach in these communities anyway. And we have no motion in these communities anyway because the Democrats can't go there and talk to them like real people and be like, hey, have you noticed that shit is getting really bad for you specifically? Perhaps it's because this guy doesn't care about you and here's how we're going to fix it. They can't even do that. They can't do that because their solution is tax cuts to the tune of $25,000 for small businesses that work in underserved neighborhoods if you were a HBCU graduate. It's like, what are we doing? Like, the Democrats have dropped the ball so consistently in the process that, like, these guys will just still go with the guy who's like, I hate you. I'm going to kill you. You're going to die. You're going to die 1,000 deaths. Everything you know, you will lose. And these guys go, hell yeah, Mr. President. I would rather do that than vote for the gay party.
Additional 34% tariff on all
HVAC. Trump's big sector is to death right now. Dude, look at my earlier message. I'm in the industry. Yeah, my HVAC Hasanabi heads. Hasan, today was my last day of working in the HVAC business. Everything was on fire today. They had to cancel 40 pallets of heat pumps from China. Prices are going up 75% for HVAC equipment. Luckily, I got a union job as a train conductor 2 weeks ago. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother.
Products that they import from the U.S. Michael?
Yeah, it seems like this may escalate even more, Trevor. Thank you so much for that.
Steve.
Yeah, Melissa. And
also, here, I'm going to pepper in some reactions, obviously, from Republicans on this issue. Here's Ian Miles Wrong, who has, once again, never lived in the United States of America. As far as I understand, never stepped foot inside of the United States of America, is instead someone who lives in Malaysia. You might not recognize that, though, from the way he's going to talk about the Trump cuts. The Trump tariffs. Let's take a look.
I like Trump. I think we need to know how they calculated these.
Wait, hold on. I'm going to start it again because I f***ed up the audio.
I like Trump. I think we need to know how they calculated these things and be like, oh, yeah, America first. Like, we have to be educated on this. The public needs to understand why they're going to be paying more for products in certain countries. Like, why are Nike shoes going to go up by like 50%? If all Nike shoes are made in Vietnam, then the price will effectively be going up by what, 46%? So you'll be effectively paying 50% more for your shoes, for your Nikes. That's what I'm saying. This means that Americans are going to have less purchasing power, if anything. If stuff is just more expensive, then your money's worth less. I like Trump. I think we need to know how.
When he says, I think we need, I'm thinking to myself, like, what do you mean we? Because you don't live in America. You've never lived in America. You're not an American citizen. And as far as I understand, you've never stepped foot inside of the United States of America. Are you talking about the tariffs placed upon Malaysia? Is that what you're saying? Where, like, the impact on this, when he says we, he's talking about Malaysians. He's talking about the Malaysian population and the Malaysian industry. I think that's what he's talking about, right? Because you're not American. You don't live in America. I don't think this will impact you in the ways that you think it'll impact you, at least. But yeah, here, let's hear, let's take a look at what happened on CNBC earlier as well. I want to see what they're saying.
To be totally honest, Kelly, I've been listening the last 10 minutes of this show. I cannot believe what I'm listening to. I heard your last guest say, if the economy shrinks, that's good. If the stock market goes down, that's good. If the housing market crashes, that's good. If there's a trade war, that's good. When did the capital class get taken over by degrowther protectionists seeking 19th century autarky?
Okay, but Derek, let me just jump in for a second, because if there's one refrain we've heard from millennials over the past several years, it's that the dream is gone. They can't afford a house. Groceries are too expensive.
It's only the first chapter of abundance.
It's apparently the first chapter of your book. So aren't you a little surprised to hear the globalists, the pro-stock market types who are supposed to be at fault for all of this, now reading out of your book and saying we're bringing prices back down?
They're crashing the economy. That's very, very different than making housing affordable. If you want affordable housing, you need a job. If you crash...
Okay, here's where I disagree with Derek, Mr. Abundance. Okay, he wrote the Abundance book alongside Ezra Klein. No, I think that the housing market does need to go down, and that will be a tumultuous period. The problem with these tariffs is that it's not even doing that to the housing market, which is so goddamn annoying. Anyway, so yeah, no, that will be hard times. Okay, that will definitely be hard times. It'll be hard times for every single person, depending on what state you're in or what city you're in. Approximately 40% to all the way up to 60% of the population that relies on their house as a vehicle of investment, a nest egg for themselves, that is going to hurt. Okay? It's going to hurt for them, because if prices within the housing market go down as a consequence of, let's say, a lot of public funds being expended to build social housing, public housing, that will readjust the housing market because there will be an abundance of new units, okay? An abundance of new housing that will, due to normal market conditions, lower the prices overall of the available inventory, okay? Because demand is always high, but now supply is also matching the demand. All of a sudden, prices are going to adjust. They're going to go down. All these people that have taken mortgages out, they're going to suffer. That's fine. That has to happen. I'm sorry. That literally has to happen. This is the side of, I guess, leftist politics and socialism that people don't ever want to discuss, don't ever want to talk about. I usually refrain from talking about this, but I do explain to people why it is a major hurdle to do any sort of serious housing policy, even though everybody is like, yeah, this homelessness thing is out of control. Okay? That's the major roadblock. That's why I'm so envious that Donald Trump can just like put his hands on the stock market and just like, just destroy it, okay? Pick it apart with some repercussions, but nothing as severe as like what I just suggested. If what I just suggested were to happen even in California, they would assassinate Gavin Newsom, okay? Especially in the direction of fixing the housing market and not like just simply breaking it with no decipherable solution. Do you understand? Do you understand why I say I'm envious? Because I understand that there will be a period. There will... What? Banned? What are you guys saying? What? Why are you saying banned? No, I'm saying they would assassinate Gavin Newsom if he did something like this. That's not ban worthy, okay? Calm down. Shut up, chatters, please. Anyway, it's a hypothetical. I'm not saying that you should do this or whatever. There is not even a you should there, in the same way that I phrased it with Rick Scott. Calm down. You can't clip that in a way that makes it seem like I'm saying that.
Crash the economy, you're going to have unemployment. And whenever unemployment hits an economy, as we just saw in 2008 and we saw before in the 1990s, who loses their jobs first? It's last one in, first one out. It's young people. So if your job or if your plan is to crash the economy in the short term for the purpose of helping young people afford a house, you have got it totally backward. Young people need jobs, they need money, and then they need a plan to make housing affordable, right? Donald Trump could have come into office and said, what I want to do is to make the construction of housing affordable. That means the inputs to housing. Instead, he slaps a 25% tariff.
Yeah, absolutely unreal CNBC segment of DK Tom trying to patiently explain the difference between housing prices falling due to global demand crash, and housing prices falling due to supply side reforms. So he's not
Be totally honest, Kelly.
entirely wrong, but He's not entirely wrong. He's right about this part of the process. Like breaking the economy with no real reason in an inexplicable fashion is not even going to, it's not even going to crash the housing market, ironically enough. Having said that, the part that I disagree with Derek Thompson on is that if you were to do a very specific policy, even in a place like California, or even in Los Angeles, not even the entire state of California, but just in Los Angeles, there would be a period where housing prices would inevitably go down, which would hurt a lot of people because of the way that we have designed our finances. Because every American that owns a house, myself included, even though I don't see this as a vehicle of investment, right? I don't see this as a vehicle of investment at all, but I still have to take out a mortgage to purchase it, right? Because it's impossible to buy a house with just straight cash. So if the value of this house that I'm inside of goes down, I don't rely on the value of this house and capital accumulation to beef up my net worth, so it doesn't matter to me. But for someone who's like 60 years old and has a house and they've taken out a second mortgage on it, all of a sudden they're paying a mortgage on something. They're paying a mortgage on a house that the value has diminished on, so they can't even sell it off. So their net worth went down, right? That certainly is a instance where people will get very frustrated, and that has to happen. That literally has to happen. You cannot solve the housing market without lowering housing prices. The abundance agenda does not explain this side of the process. The abundance agenda does not, I'm not using it as a vehicle of investment, but that's exactly what it is, whether or not your motives are there. Exactly. That's my point. That's my point. That's my point. That you're making my point for me. Like, I don't give a shit if my housing prices go down. I want them to go down. I want this house to be worth half the price that it actually is, because that would mean that the housing market is crashing, but also that means that houses will become more affordable in the process. Do you understand my point? And the only way to do that is through the government interfering in the normal market, okay? You have to do that. There is no other way out of this. Deregulation, dezoning, sure. Dezoning, especially when it comes to like single family units, that's fine. That is a necessity. Absolutely. Okay? There's a finite amount of space. There's a finite amount of land, and there's a lot of demand, right? Having said that, that's not the end all be all, because if you're building luxury condominiums like they do in downtown Los Angeles, that's clearly not solving, that's not making up for the demand. That's not solving the problem. You have to build houses with affordability in mind, or directly for free, built by the government through eminent domain. You take over houses that are no longer being used, or apartment complexes that are no longer being built, like the one in downtown Los Angeles, the famous one, or you create affordable houses to compete with the pre-existing inventory of readily available housing that has skyrocketed in cost. There is no other way to claw those prices down. That's it. And in that process, if you look at a place like Los Angeles, where 44% of the 44% of the available inventory of housing is like owned and lived in by people who own their own homes, those people who have taken out mortgages, those people who rely on their housing price going up every year, that see it as a nest egg, see it as a retirement fund, those people are going to suffer a little bit. But in the process, you will eradicate homelessness. You will make it so that this major part of people's existence will become more affordable. That's it. That's it. I guess that's the big disagreement that I have, seemingly, with Derek on this part. But he is right on the virtues. He is right on like how like Trump breaking the system for indecipherable reasons is not a good thing. It's not going to help the millennials and the Zoomers and shit. It's just going to hurt them more. JP Morgan ups the recession odds to 60%. Let's take a look.
Not one that is really quick on the trigger to make changes like that. JP Morgan upping its recession odds to 60% from 40% previously. citing obviously the tariffs, the effect on business sentiment, the effect on investment.
Is this good?
And the effect on.
I'm not a finance guy. Is that good? Hey guys, Hey guys, can someone explain to me if this is good or not? I don't really understand this stuff. Oh my God, we're so fucked.
Consumer price. They said, quote, these policies, if sustained, would likely push the U.S. and possibly global economy into recession this year. And if I could shift gears, Melissa, we just got an email from, or a study from the Cato Institute. What they did is they looked at the tariffs that the White House says countries charged us versus the actual tariffs they charged. Take a look. Vietnam, they said that President Trump said it's 90%. It's actually 5.1% for an 85% difference. We'll go down the list. Taiwan, Switzerland, which is known to not charge almost any tariffs at all. 61% the White House said. It's actually 1.7.
Dude, this is so funny. It's just like, this is pure stupidity. And they can get away with this because people are dumb. That's it. And by the way, Vietnam's charging 5.1% tariffs. They said they would lower to 0. It don't matter because the White House tariff rate has nothing to do with the actual tariffs being freaking charged by the country and everything to do with trade deficits. As in, they want significantly poorer countries. Okay. On its face, I'm going to repeat this one more time. Trump wants to use tariffs as a mechanism to punish countries for the trade deficits. As in, he wants significantly poorer nations to purchase American goods at reasonable levels that where there's like some sort of trade parity, except American goods are more costly. And on top of that, we don't even have the manufacturing base to produce the necessary demand. So it literally doesn't make sense at any point of this conversation. Because one, American goods, if produced here and then shipped overseas to like Vietnam, are going to be significantly more expensive than shit that they produce domestically. Okay? Two, we don't even have the industrial base to become the manufacturing hub of the planet, let alone overnight. We certainly don't. And last but not least, the shit that we produce here does not even suit the demand of their markets. The greatest example of this are cars, okay? The greatest example of this is vehicles. We literally do not produce vehicles that these guys could even use on their roads. These guys could even use on their crowded city streets. Like, in order for this to work, Europe would have to change the commercial driver's license necessity that you need for to be able to drive the basic model of the most popular vehicle in the United States of America, a Ford F-150. The RAV4, the Toyota RAV4 actually beat the F-150 in the most popular car in America last year. But outside of that, year over year, the Ford F-150 pickup truck that has become ginormous, okay, in because of the CAFE standards, to avoid the CAFE standards, that car is the most popular car in the United States of America. That's the car that we produce the most, okay? In order for Europeans to be able to drive this car, they would need to change the driver's license restrictions. You need a CDL to be able to drive a Ford F-150. You would also need to change the way that these cities work, because there is significantly less car reliance to begin with in many European capitals where a lot of the people live because they have public transit. And on top of that, it just simply wouldn't fit on the roads. So what is the argument here? Sorry, we're going to tariff you. We're going to tariff you until you're dead. You have to buy our F-150. The child mutilator must be every European suburb. You have to build suburbs now. You have to repave your roads and drive our monstrosities. Also, gas. That's the other thing. Gas is so expensive in Europe. That's another part of the process. Like, you need to drive our gas guzzlers. Vietnam has a trade deficit of $110 billion and a population of 110 million. In a country where with the per capita GDP is $4,000, a quarter of that would need to be American purchases of balanced deficit in a year. Yeah, they're just going to buy like, what are they going to buy? What do we even build? That's the other part of the story. It's just like, what can they buy? Weapons? What do we build in the United States of America? We build software, tech services, and we build weapons, and we build cars. What are they supposed to buy? A fighter jet? Like, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Harley Davidsons? Everyone has to drive Harley Davidsons, which is the gas guzzling giant of the motorcycle world. Everything we buy, everything we build is a gas guzzler in comparison to the relative sector and the domestic manufactured competitor. You must buy it. Everything is Tesla. Anyway, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. It is indecipherable, and it is so perfectly Donald Trump. And considering that we have no sway in the way that things happen in the United States of America, the least we could do is kick back and enjoy the show and watch these dumb hogs who were like, Donald Trump is going to save the world, turn around and talk about how you don't need goods anyway. We need to do degrowth. What are you, a gay commie? You want to purchase commodities at a reasonable, affordable price point? What is wrong with you? I feel like I'm losing my freaking mind.
Indonesia, where we get a lot of garments from, they're at 5.3. The White House says they're at 64. And very importantly, the European Union. Remember when the president said there was 39? And then we can go down the list. These are important trading partners. Now, of course, there are some non-tariff trade barriers that are difficult to quantify, but the White House basically being accused by people of using a formula that no one has ever used to come up with these tariff rates and then say, oh, we were kind to them and we did half. Melissa?
Hey, Sarah, we're just hearing from the president on a couple of different topics here, two big ones. The first I want to bring you is that the president is saying on...
One of the funniest aspects of this, of course, is that predictably, Donald Trump is going to do this thing that he's always done. He did it in the first term. He did it in the... He has done it multiple times so far in the second term as well, where he breaks something and then everybody freaks the fuck out. You wipe out trillions of dollars of value in the stock market, and then he turns around and the other side, the foreign nations, actually give him assurances that make it seem like they're complying with these ridiculous demands that he's making. So then he restores the order and goes, see, I fixed it. It's like, you broke it. You didn't have to break it. You didn't have to break it at all. The classic. So we'll probably see a little bit of that in the upcoming days, even though this administration now is seemingly resilient to any of the naysayers that keep saying, please, Mr. President, you're killing us. Yeah. Countries, Claudia Sheinbaum does this very well in Mexico, will just be like, oh, yeah, you've really put the fear of God in our hearts. We are going to combat the fentanyl crisis in our borders. And they don't even do anything new. Like, they have already been combating the fentanyl crisis, and they just basically go, see, we did it. You did it. You did it, sir. You forced our hand. And then Trump goes back and goes, see, major W, no more tariffs on Mexico. That's it. Nothing changed in the process except for a period of instability born out of Donald Trump's stupid mouth. Nothing changed at all. Everybody has to act like the glorious president is doing stuff virtually all of the other countries are held hostage by this madman. And it's so funny where they just have to be like, yes, Mr. President, you scared us so hard. You put the fear of God in our hearts and we are complying. Like, Vietnam goes from 5% tariffs to 0% tariffs. And Trump's like, major victory, major victory. Okay, so it's not about the trade deficit then. So it's not even for the reasons that you have, the hidden reasons that you wanted to do this. What is it for then? Nothing. Hasan Reactions is one of the best ones in the React channel.